So the Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out, and of course the young Defiant wannabes are in full force putting out videos shitting on the game, even when their videos were uploaded before the remaster came out, and they had no idea if it was good or not, so without further delay, I'll let the video play.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition is ruining the gaming industry.
I'll never figure out how these people think singular game releases and a collection of remastered games could ruin the entire industry. Like, what goes through these people's heads to remotely think that's a logical conclusion?
You want to talk about bastardizing a franchise. You do not need to look any further than EA's recent cash-in attempt, Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Please tell me he isn't going to try and claim they ruined the game by removing butt shots of Miranda. Because that's the only thing I can think of that some morons would say bastardized the franchise. Since the rest of it is just a straight remaster and not a remake. Also, I don't think it's a cash-in attempt, considering the fact this shit has 100% been a success for EA.
Because 2021 is the year of recovery, and EA, with their predatory practices, have chosen this year of all years to also poach on people's nostalgia.
God forbid a developer remasters their games for the modern era when people have wanted remasters of those games for years. And you only have to look at how well the Legendary Edition is selling to figure out that people definitely wanted this. And there's nothing wrong with a publisher slash developer giving their consumers what they want. In fact, that's exactly what people have been asking EA to do for years.
Let's go back to 2007, 2010, and 2012 respectively, when things were just a little bit better.
What exactly do you think a remaster is? Because if you think the old games in the franchise were good, then why do you have a problem with them remastering the games? They're not remaking them. If you thought those games were good, then surely you'd like the idea of them being improved?
We have adventures with Shepard, we have companions we care about, we have gunplay that ties well into the franchise's lore and gets better and better with each installment, and we've got a story that totally didn't completely fail and stumble and crash hard to the ground in the third act, and we totally don't have an overabundance of DLC that people make out to be better than it actually is, and we totally didn't forget to include the multiplayer component, which was actually the only good thing about Mass Effect 3.
To me, it just sounds like he doesn't like Mass Effect 3 and the franchise's DLCs, which are two things that are completely optional to play. You don't have to play Mass Effect 3 if you buy the bundle, you can just play Mass Effect 1 and 2 without touching 3, if you really hate it this much. I mean, let's be honest here, nobody's buying this bundle for Mass Effect 3. Everyone is buying it for 1 and 2, and either way, I don't get why he hates the bundle because of one game in it.
EA ruins everything it touches, but this is no surprise to anybody who's been paying attention.
How are they ruining the games exactly? Because surely they're improving them by remastering the games?
To what is occurring in the gaming industry for the last 12 fucking years. My God, EA ruins everything they come into contact with, and to think that they can do one of the greatest, that's air quotes, greatest gaming trilogies of all time justice in the form of a remaster is not wishful thinking, it is plain ignorance.
What the fuck does this guy think a remaster is? All they are doing is upgrading the graphics and modernizing the game overall. They aren't changing the core mechanics much, so I can't understand how someone can think they're ruining the games.
Stupidity on display, moronic thinking at its finest form. You do not need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a scummy cash-in attempt because BioWare failed once they were fully integrated into EA. These dumb motherfuckers flopped so hard with Mass Effect 3. They flopped so hard with Dragon Age Inquisition. They flopped so fucking hard with Anthem that now they have to retreat back to what was one of their last quote-unquote great franchises.
The second best-selling Mass Effect game in the trilogy was definitely a failure. That makes so much sense. And you know what? BioWare's best-selling game ever at the time was also a flop, believe it or not. I mean, you just can't prove these facts are wrong.
Let's be real, the games weren't that good to begin with. Go back and play them. You've got a very limited dialogue system where often 2 of the responses on the tree lead to the same response. You barely get any information that transfers over from game to game. Honestly, there's no point in going back and playing Mass Effect 1 or 2 because of the Genesis comics, alright? You can just make the big decisions. Nothing else carries over. We're talking minor lines of dialogue, people. The smallest fucking things. Throwaway line here, throwaway line there on reference. It's so fucking stupid, and people make this out to be like, oh no, it's one of the most immersive experiences ever. My choices carry over. Your choices carry over in the form of one dialogue. They literally write a line of code. If Anderson was on the council, insert dialogue 1. If Udina was on the council, insert dialogue 2. That's fucking it. That's all they're doing.
It's almost like that's how you code it when developing the game's dialogue system. But either way, no shit, the dialogue system isn't comparable to modern games. The first Mass Effect game came out over a decade ago, and at this point it just sounds like he's salty they didn't remake the games and just remastered them instead.
And don't even get me started on what they did to Mass Effect 1. The combat in Mass Effect 1 was the greatest combat I have ever seen in a video game.
I guess you haven't played Doom Eternal and Titanfall 2 then, because their combat is far superior to Mass Effect's, and for obvious reasons.
It wasn't this ADS, laser-focused precision third-person shooter that every other game has come to adopt. No, it was something that took stats into account far more. The reticle, you knew that where your reticle was aiming wasn't impacted so much by the crosshairs as it was behind the scenes stats that you had jacked up into your sniper class, into your assault rifle class, the type of gun that you were using, the mods you equipped. Do you think EA thought, hey, the people who like this might want it to stick around? No, they didn't.
If stats on your gun are more important than the crosshair on the screen, then there's a problem. Clearly people didn't have a huge issue with this, otherwise the games wouldn't have been so widely praised, as they were, excluding Mass Effect 3.
They stripped all that away and made it just like the other two Mass Effect games, Gears of War clones with horrid combat. They ruined Mass Effect 1, and then they're doing camera cuts in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Talk about the SJW focus crowd getting what they wanted.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I was joking when I made a comment about him getting pissed about the butt shots being cut earlier. I wish I could say I was surprised he's angry about it. Here's a tip. Get off the computer and go outside, because believe it or not, animated ass is not a big deal.
Congratulations, you've completely ruined the artistic vision of the original trilogy.
Jesus Christ, if you think Bioware cutting out butt shots of Miranda is ruining the creative vision of the original developers, then you seriously need to reevaluate your life. This is not remotely a big issue, and it takes almost nothing away from the overall experience when playing through the games.
And you morons are gonna lap this shit up because, oh my god, game was so good back then, it's gonna be even better now. It's gonna be even worse. Mass Effect was an abysmal failure. Look that shit up. Mass Effect was not commercially successful. It was not. They had committed to a trilogy, so they had to finish out making 3 games, but it was a financial detriment to EA's bottom line. It caused Casey Hudson to quit BioWare only to come back and then quit again later.
I want whatever this guy is snorting, because even Mass Effect Andromeda was somewhat successful compared to the other games in the franchise. And it's ironic how he tells people to look this shit up, because when you do look it up, you instantly see that the Mass Effect games sold a shit ton of copies.
Oh my god, the greatest Mass Effect game ever made was Andromeda.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
I don't think I've heard a statement more full of bullshit than that one.
Really, it was. Andromeda was a single game that didn't have to worry about carrying choices forward. It was able to open up its horizons, and it was able to do something no Mass Effect game has ever done before.
What? Released in a completely broken state to the point it was barely functional and almost unplayable? I mean, if we're on about that, then yeah, sure, I've got to agree it's done something no other Mass Effect game managed to achieve.
Allow you to explore. It went full on with the open universe. It was amazing. But you fucking clowns didn't like it, and now we're back to square one, redoing Mass Effect 1. I hope you're fucking happy.
I'm not a huge fan of the series myself, but I'm sure as hell happy for all the people who are, because I have so far only heard great things about the Legendary Edition, with the exception of the 20:9 aspect ratio on PC not being as it was promised to be. And thankfully, we have reached the end of that truly awful video, so with all that being said, please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka check out my Discord server, Twitter, as well as like, comment, and subscribe. So I'll see you all in my next video.